Well, hi, with this video what I would like to show is how to add a gradient background to your web page. What a gradient background is, it basically lets you display smooth transitions between two or more colors. So blue to white, red to lighter red, whatever. And there's lots of ways you can do this. What I'm going to do with this is just show you a very simple way of doing it. There are some brand new CSS codes coming out, but as you can tell, every browser needs a little bit different code. So what I'm going to do is show you a very simple way of doing this and what basically a gradient file would look like. I'll bring up a gradient file that I have, and let's see where this one is. My documents, and I have one called just gradient. So this gradient simply goes from a darker blue to a lighter blue, and again, any two colors. The key is going to remembering the bottom color. I'll show you what I'm talking about. For example, here's Garrett's page. Garrett, we covered this in class today, is going from a kind of a dark blue down to a gray. It has a wonderful transition effect. On my sample web page for class, I go from that's that gradient I showed you, from a blue to a white actually. And where this whole concept started for me was when I had a band I play with, and we wanted to have a nice classy background, so it goes from a dark blue down to a light blue. The problem is with backgrounds, not the problem, but one of the issues is a background image typically will want to tile and repeat itself again and again and again. And so what we want to do is, especially if you have a page, I'll pick one, band photos for instance, that's a much longer page. If I go from dark to light, that's great, but a typical image would just tile and repeat itself. Here I can scroll down and that light stays light. You never see the dark come back. So it just fades from dark to light, which is the exact effect we want. So how do I do this? Well, I can simply go to creating a gradient with CSS. Just creating a gradient. You'll see so many different ways of doing it. If I just say creating a gradient, there's a whole bunch that come up. One is Dynamic Drive, one is Grad Color. There's a bunch of different tutorials. Certainly you can do this with Photoshop, but I'm not going to try to get into doing it with Photoshop. But if you have Photoshop, that's wonderful. Dynamic Drive, this is a pretty cool tool. It says how wide do you want it? Well, for the effect we're doing, something like 10 pixels wide is plenty. A long skinny image, maybe 800 pixels high, or 1000 is plenty. Now you're going to have a top color and a bottom color. In this case, a top color, maybe I'll pick it a blue. Bottom color, maybe I'll pick kind of a lighter blue. And you'll see that it creates a full-size image. It's this image over here, from blue to lighter blue. It simply creates a long, skinny image. And that's pretty cool. So I could do that. I could do, instead of blue to blue, I can do red. So it's whatever one I'm going to do, it's going to create a top and bottom. So that'll create an image. Grad Color does the same thing. You pick a top color. Maybe I'll pick, in this case, like it has a green down to a whatever. Again, kind of a whitish. I like some kind of a transition. Let's see, down to a light green. And this says, see the gradient on the full screen. Well, that's what I have behind me. It starts from dark green, it goes to a lighter green. But here's the issue. It's only 800 pixels long. So it goes from dark green to light green, and then it stops, or it will repeat. So here's our issue. We want to go from dark green to light green, and then we want to just continue on down the bottom. So what you have to do for this to work is you have to remember what is your end color. In this case, my end color would be the C3, E3, C5. Okay, so if I make that color the background of the entire page, it'll work just perfect. And let me see how I do this. Okay, I'm going to just go ahead and pick one of the ones that I have. I have this one right here. If I say right click and view source, right click, view source, you'll see what I've done in the body is I've done a background image. My image is called gradient.jpg, and the way this works, this one ends in white. So I put a background color of white. Now, if I was using the one we just had before, I would put that as a whatever the ending color of the gradient is, you put that as the background color on your web page. So when my gradient fades out at the bottom, that color just keeps continuing and continuing. And this is a very nice style. And I have a background repeat of X. As you read chapter 5, you'll understand what that does. What a background repeat of X does is simply repeats the image from left to right, just like the X-axis on a mathematical graph. Okay, so that's one way to create an image, and there's lots of other ways to do it, but I would highly recommend you guys give yourself a gradient, do from top to bottom, and you're going to have a much classier looking website than if you just have a solid picture. And of course, there's many other ways to do this with a full image, but that's all for now. And then of course with FileZilla you would have to upload the gradient file as well. Okay, I'll say bye for now.